and getting an answer, how they're using your information and protecting it. Making them think twice about how they're handling such an important piece of data is a very useful thing for you to do.
Patty Hirsch, Senior Producer of Personal Finance here at Marketplace. Thank you for this.
Thank you, David.
Talk to digital media experts, and they'll tell you that one way to get notice is to put information in the form of a slideshow or a list. This is something Forbes magazine has known about for more than 30 years. Look at its Forbes 400 list of the richest rich that came out this week. Shannon Mullen looked into how some consider lists like these information junk food.
Bill Gates is the richest man in America for the 20th year in a row. No surprise there. But it's not suspense that draws readers to the Forbes 400 list. People like to read about people, says Forbes wealth editor Lisa Kroll.
So many of the people at the tops of our lists are behind the companies that we're buying from, the Walmarts of the world, Microsoft.
And advertisers like sharing pages with those companies on glossy paper and the web. But for readers,
well, lists are like cotton candy. They're ephemeral, but they're very satisfying.
Sid Holt heads the American Society of Magazine Editors.
They have an appeal that is so immediate, so grabbing. I don't know anybody who doesn't like a list.
Holt says it's an important tool for organizing information, even if the information's not exactly important. Besides the 400 list, on its website, Forbes also ranks the top-earning dead celebrities. I'm Shannon Mullen for Marketplace.
And did you see the average age of the Forbes richest 400? 66. Zuckerberg at Facebook is not the youngest. He's 8 days older than his old Harvard roommate Dustin Moskovitz, who was born in 1984. Most mature, 97-year-old David Rockefeller Sr. in New York. I'm David Brancaccio with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.
You're the genius.
Security review after Navy Yard shootings.
It boils down to resources and training.
The Fed and its bond buying.
A major shift in monetary policy.
Call for help in a deadly North Carolina case.
Is the guy breaking in your front door? Yeah, he's trying to get down.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kathan with the CBS World News Roundup. The motive for Monday's massacre at the Washington Navy Yard is still a mystery. No apparent notes, no manifesto from the gunman, 34-year-old Aaron Alexis. But CBS's Bob Orr says a picture of a troubled person is emerging, with evidence from as recently as last month.
Alexis called Newport, Rhode Island police, claiming he was hearing voices. The defense contractor also complained that people were stalking him and using some kind of microwave machine to send vibrations into his body. But in the incident report, Alexis denied ever having had a mental health concern.
Alexis, a former Navy reservist, had been treated for mental health issues. The gunman's problems didn't stop him from buying a weapon just last week, and CBS's John Miller says they didn't prevent him from getting security clearances.
It used to be the government did these background investigations, but they started to farm these out to private companies, and the private companies use publicly available databases searching public records. In theory, that would come up with any convictions for crimes, but those databases are often outdated.
I'm Heather Bosch. U.S. Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel plans to order a review of security and access to all military installations worldwide. This as we learn of Aaron Alexis' troubled past.
You get a maverick like Alexis, and you have a real problem.
Military analyst Mitch Mitchell points out Alexis still had clearance, and workers like that, he says, aren't routinely searched for guns.
In they go with their weapons, and then they start firing.
But he says it will be tough for military installations to adequately tighten access and improve their security.
They just don't have the money to devote to the security that they need to provide.
Because of budget cuts.
Some family members are speaking out about the 12 people killed at the Navy Yard. Megan Ridgel's father, Richard, was called a family protector.
I don't want people to remember him as a victim because he never was in his life and he never will be. He's strong.
3 others injured in the shootings are still in the hospital. Later today, we should get a better idea of the Federal Reserve's plan to reduce its bond buying program, which has been seen as a boost to the economy. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger.
For the first time in almost 5 years, the Fed is expected to announce a major shift in monetary policy. Most economists expect the central bank to announce a $5 to $15 billion reduction in its monthly bond purchases from the current $85 billion per month.
Washington's battle over the budget is putting Obamacare on trial. CBS's Peter Mayer joins us live now from the White House.
And, Steve, that trial is heating up less than 2 weeks before a potential government shutdown over a budget impasse. The White House describes extreme Republicans as a threat to the economy with demands to defund Obamacare. Senate Democratic leader Harry Reid used even tougher language.
None of the Republicans are willing to stand up to these anarchists.
Senate GOP leader Mitch McConnell voiced firm opposition to the health law.
All of us have voted to defund it, delay it, pick it apart.
This morning, President Obama will tell a business group the health reform law cannot be a bargaining chip in the increasingly heated fiscal debate.
Well, the IRS says collections from delinquent taxpayers dropped for a second straight year in 2012, in part because budget cuts have cut the number of people doing audits. Walgreens is set to become one of the largest employers to give workers money to buy health insurance. That plan starts for that company next year. More emergency airlifts will take place today in flood-soaked Colorado. Nick Christensen of the Larimer County Sheriff's Office says they've already reached thousands.
We're looking at lots of pinpoint extractions. We're also encountering a number of refusals, which is a concern to us. We want people to get out while they have the chance.
He says the focus is trying to find hundreds of people who are still unaccounted for. Many are in towns cut off by the flooding. Turns out the fire that destroyed 50 businesses in Seaside Park and Seaside Heights, New Jersey last week was a byproduct of Superstorm Sandy, which caused major damage there last year. Electrical wiring damaged by the storm is blamed for the fire. The UN report on the chemical weapons attack last month in Syria doesn't point a finger of blame, but the evidence leaves little doubt. We're live with CBS's Vicki Barker.
Deep in an appendix to that report are compass headings for the missiles based on multiple sets of debris trails and other evidence collected in the field. Josh Lyons is a satellite imagery analyst for Human Rights Watch.
They very strongly suggest that the rockets had come from a particular military base, specifically the Republican Guard 104th Brigade.
In other words, the Assad regime's elite forces who've been firing conventional missiles from the same site on Mount Kasayun throughout the war. The Russians are dismissing the UN report as biased. Steve?
Here at home, there's court action today in the Ohio case of a man who confessed on video to a deadly DUI.
On June 22nd, 2013, I hit and killed Vincent Canzani.
22-year-old Matthew Cordell's expected to plead guilty. A not guilty plea last week was a procedural move to get a judge assigned to the case. In North Carolina, emergency call tapes have been released in a deadly shooting.
911, hello? I need help. There's a guy breaking in my front door. There's a guy breaking in your front door? Yeah, he's trying to get down.
The man knocking at the door last weekend in the middle of the night was Jonathan Farrell. He'd just been involved in a car accident, was looking for help, and was later shot 10 times by a police officer. The officer's been charged with involuntary manslaughter. Police in western Oklahoma may have solved missing person cold cases that date back decades. 2 cars have been recovered from a lake, and the bodies of 5 people have been found.
We believe that this very well could be them. However, nothing will be final until reports come back from the state medical examiner's office.
And Custer County Sheriff Bruce Peoples says the cars appear to match a Camaro missing with 3 teenagers in 1970 and an older Chevrolet from the late 1950s. Former baseball slugger Barry Bonds has been ordered to meet with probation officials today to go over the terms of his 30-day house arrest. Bonds lost an appeal of his obstruction of justice conviction in a steroids investigation. Well, Bonds' old team, the San Francisco Giants, in New York last night to face the Mets.
I do not understand why outfield walls are not padded in such a way that we don't risk a guy's entire career.
A little commentary and play-by-play from Mets fan and comedian Jerry Seinfeld, who joined the SNY TV broadcast team for the game. The Giants had the last laugh, winning 8-5. A new privately built and operated cargo ship launches to the International Space Station today. Here's CBS's Peter King.
A new player means 5 different vehicles will now bring cargo to the International Space Station, helping to make up for the cargo capability lost when the space shuttle retired.
Well, maybe if you add up all that weight and volume, you're probably close to even.
Just returned station astronaut Chris Cassidy says several supply lines are a must because, of course, things can and sometimes do go wrong in space. Today's planned Orbital Sciences Corporation launches a demonstration or test flight for its Cygnus craft. Peter King, CBS News.
A new study of French drivers finds people who use cruise control stick to the speed limit. But they're also prone to drowsiness when there are few other drivers on the road and have reduced reaction time when traffic is heavier. The study found younger drivers were most affected by fatigue. That's the World News Roundup. I'm Steve Kathan, CBS News.
And the Lord spake, saying, First shalt thou take out the holy pin. Then shalt thou count to 3. No more, no less. 3 shall be the number thou shalt count, and the number of the counting shall be 3. 4 shalt thou not count, neither count thou 2, excepting that thou then proceed to 3. 5 is right out. Once the number 3, being the third number, be reached, then lobbest thou thy holy hand grenade of Antioch towards thy foe, who, being naughty in my sight, shall snuff it.
Whoppers at once.
I can't even eat one at once.
Don't worry. Burger King has a burger that's just your size. Not as big as a Whopper, but every bit as good. So now everyone can join in the fun at Burger King.
It takes 2 hands to handle a Whopper. And this one's just right for me.
The burgers are bigger at Burger King.
A ranger station.
I'd like to report a bear hug.
Uh-huh.
Well, I noticed dry brush where we wanted our bonfire and suggested we move it. Then Smokey Bear showed up and hugged me.
So you noticed some wildfire hazards and moved your bonfire to a safer location.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Smokey, all right. Just letting you know you did good.
Hey, guys, that was Smokey. You owe me 20.
Well, congratulations, and thanks for calling. There are many ways to prevent a wildfire. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
What's your favorite color? Tell us, please.
Kids will spend 20 minutes listening to songs like this.
What's your favorite color? What's your...
How about 2 minutes to brush their teeth? Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. For fun 2-minute videos to watch while brushing, visit 2min2x.org. 2 minutes twice a day. They have the time. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
Used to be sad, used to be shy. Funniest thing, the saddest part is I never knew why. Keeping myself for nothing was my favorite sport. I had to take off and start enjoying, 'cause life's too short. There's a new girl in town, 'cause I'm feeling good. Get up.
Welcome back to Studio 26. Remember that theme? Alice. Mel's Diner. Late 70s, early to mid 80s. Funny sitcom back in its day, but I imagine if I watch it now, I'll say this stuff is really, really hokey. But such is the nature of our childhood. Anyway, thanks for listening to today's edition of First Cup. Still more to get to before the end of the program, like what's on TV tonight, popular tweets of the day, and the song of the day coming up in a few minutes as well. And don't wish to tell tales out of school, but one of my neighbors looks like she was the victim of a physical assault sometime in the past 24 hours. I just saw her outside a little bit ago and stepped out to see how she's doing. And I'd like to find out the son of a bitch that hit her, because I do not take kindly to men hitting women. Because you're not a man if you hit a woman. You're not a man in my book. All I can say is, buddy, you better run. You better run. Okay? I don't like to make threats, but I don't take kindly to men hitting women. And unless it's even if it's in self-defense, you just don't do that. Okay? You just don't do that. All right? Anyway, it's kind of hard to go into the next segment when I see stuff like that, and I see her bruised up like that, and it just irritates me. Really irritates me.